Hello and welcome everybody to Co-Creation Success Week 5. And before I go into anything else, I just really want to congratulate you in your participation. For everybody who's been on the course, I know it's tough, going into the depths of your conscious and unconscious programming is challenging, and it's easy to want to give up. And, part of why we're doing it the way we are is to be able to kind of confuse your usual answers enough and what you tell yourself as a narrative that what's underneath can really come out and you can really see it for what it is. And the key to that is non-judgment, which I'm going to go through today in the presentation. I'm feeling like I'd like to whiz through the presentation and then open up to questions, but I have got some feedback based on what homework has been done so far, and those of you who've sent me your document, the 6-step synopsis. I appreciate some of you have sent just excerpts, little bits here and there, but if you really want this to work for you, use that document. And I understand some of you have taken it even further and you've kind of gone deeper into things, which is just brilliant. And when we do our breakthrough call, that's going to be really useful for me, because it's just troubleshooting. It's getting really, really clear where those areas are that just keep tripping you up and reframing them, which is what this session is all about. And beyond that is also this understanding that in that document I have summarised all the questions I've asked you in weeks 1 to 4. So, if you tried to go back through the replays first and do the homework as it's set, it's more confusing than just going through the document and doing it that way. So please do be aware that obviously you've all written quite a lot and my time is limited. So I will be going into the detail of your stories and helping you reframe them where you have not been able to in our breakthrough calls. So please bear in mind that you each have a free breakthrough call with me. They are normally £100 and it is a very powerful exchange that we go into where I just help you with the tools I have to troubleshoot and get through into a new space. But if you bear in mind that next week is the last week of the course, I would like you all to have booked your breakthrough calls in the calendar by next week, okay? Because we will keep the Facebook page open for another 2 weeks after that, but really you will have all of the resources for life that you have gained on this course. So you'll always have access to the replays, you'll have access to all the documents, but obviously my time is limited, so you've got it while you're here with me on the course and in the breakthrough call, and we will discuss further work that you can do with me and how you can make that happen. So what I'd really love you to just make a decision on, because it's when you make the decision that things change. Where we get really stuck is on the how. And having been someone who knows how challenging it can be, health, finances, family, romance, I've been there, okay? But the point is, nothing changes until you make a decision that things are going to be different. And every time I've done that and I've taken an action, a leap of faith, that's when things have changed for me. And you just get braver and braver. So in that respect, please bear in mind that I will put you the link to my time trade calendar up on the Facebook page, and it will be sent out in the email as well. So just try and book as soon as you can. If I need to change the time, because sometimes there's some overlapping with other aspects of my calendar, I will let you know, and we'll change it and make it work for you. But please just make that action and don't worry about what's going to happen after that. Just be really, really clear about whether you are committed to really making some changes in your life, because the better it gets, the better it gets. And the more that you kind of get on this path and decide it's a long-term path for you rather than something you're going to dabble into and go, oh, I tried that, it didn't really work, it's another thing, It's really down to you making a commitment because you're inspired by who you're working with and you're inspired by the work that you're doing. It's meaty is the wrong word for vegetarian, sorry, but it's like, yeah, it's tasty. It's interactive and it helps you to get to know yourself in deeper and deeper love. So, yes, I think, has anyone got any comments they would like to make before I go on? Please use the text box. Otherwise, I'm going to get started with the presentation. Then when I start to go over the slide regarding the homework, I will mention people's feedback. Now, I don't want to use names in case you want me to protect your anonymity, but I'm sure you will understand from the comments I make if this relates to you or not. And obviously if you haven't sent anything in for me, then it's not going to be you, but it might be relevant to you. Sorry, I've become obsessed with lighting because this is important. Okay, so let's get the presentation going. Hi, Steph. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to get co-creation success. Sharing. So that's this. Can you just let me know that you can all see the presentation at the moment in front of you? Can someone just say yes, so I know that you can see it, and then I will continue? Thank you, Sarika. Okay, so let's get the slideshow going. As I said, intending to whiz through, so we've got some good interactive time, and actually I got distracted. I feel like I'm getting to know you all really well, and you know, I don't usually do online work with there's so little interaction. I usually run coaching groups where there's much more interaction, or I work one-to-one with clients, and I find this has been a different way of feeling into your energies, and it's been good, but I like that deep connection as well. So you will get that on the call with me, and hopefully you'll want to do some more work as well. So let's get the slideshow going. I'm getting better and better and better and better at this. Okay, so welcome to Co-Creation Success, week 5. We're reframing it, rewriting it, and changing the narrative. And I'm excited because I feel like this week you're going to have some real ahas as to why I have shared things with you and why it might seem like it's all been a little disjointed and it hasn't all tied together yet. So that's my excitement for this week. Okay, so just looking at the homework from last week, this is a recap. I asked you please to let me know which I am statements trigger you the most, as in do you find hardest to believe are true for you or in general. And actually, I have to say, congratulations, Annie, because you kind of did both. I did allude to it in the replay, but it was basically, I'd love to know which of the statements really trigger you that you find hard to believe, and which of the statements you find really easy to believe, or you want to believe, or you want to energize. And what Annie did was she sent me in green the ones that she really resonated with and really wanted to energize, and she sent me in red the ones that she found hard to believe or didn't want to believe, or they just annoyed her that they might be true. So I think that would be really useful for all of you to do, and if you feel confident enough to do that on the Facebook page, you know, the more open dialogue we have with each other, the more we're going to grow from each other's stories. And again, just to recap on that, we also had, sorry, just seeing there's a message come through, we also had the opportunity there to start. Oh yeah, what I wanted you to do was to look at the 3 areas. So you've had the I am statements. They're sent to you in the document. They were sent to you. They're on the back end, and they are also in the presentations. But you just need to look through each of the 3 areas of your life that you are looking to improve, that you want co-creation success in, and see in those statements which ones feel true and which ones don't. And that's where we work with clearing up the resistance. I also asked you to consider what behaviours in others really irritate or trigger you. Think back to childhood upsets, and that could include things that I've shared with you, because I'm pushing a lot of buttons here, and I know for those of you who don't know me very well, you might not like that, but I do it with love, because I know what it feels like when you get through it and you're like, yes. So that's what we're doing. And also shame's been such a huge part of my life that I really do grasp how it can stop you being honest. We're ashamed of our truth a lot of the time, and this is the thing that we're learning, is to uncover our truth to ourselves, to share it with someone we trust, hopefully me, knowing that you will be met with compassion and non-judgment, so I can model to you what your inner family is there to do, which we'll go into a bit later in this session. And through that, you can then get clear on how you want to show up, who you want to be in this, and therefore to clear your resistance up to it. So knowing what really irritates you and triggers you and others really helps you to kind of get clear on where your blind spots will be, because really you'll judge others for it, but it is something that is there within you as a wound. So either it was done to you, so I think I gave the example that for me, I really find it hard when people say they're going to do things and then they don't. So broken promises, like talking, not walking, that really upsets me, because, you know, I had an uncle that every every Christmas he'd be like, we're going to go to Disneyland, girls. And then when we got older, we're going to go to Hollywood. Never did we go anywhere. And he wasn't the only one. My dad did it. A lot of the men in my life did not show up with the truth. Like, they did not back up what they said they were going to do. So that's a biggie for me. But, you know, as a result, what do? I can overcompensate in my word. So my word, if I said I'm going to do it, I will go through hell and high water to make sure I do it, rather than be able to go, you know what, I know I said I could do this, but actually I can't, and I'm just letting you know now ahead of time because I'm feeling that this is too much for me. So I'm sharing this with you because that's where I've had to get to in myself, in self-love and self-truth, and this is about speaking your truth with love. And eventually what happens is you learn not to commit yourself, which is something I learned this year. I said no to a whole load of things that I otherwise would have made myself do, and I've had a wonderful holiday just being at home all summer. So let's just have a look at these statements. So you can't hear, not sure if it's your end. I believe it's you, Steph. I have Annie and Sarika can hear me. Please come out and maybe come in again and see whether that works for you. And if it doesn't, you may want to come in on the phone line link because that might be better for you. You'll be able to hear the call. You can hear, Lizzie, thank you. So you'll be able to hear the call, Steph, but you might not be able to watch it unless you're looking at it on your computer as I go through. Okay, let's come back here. So we needed to know your irritations and triggers so that we can rewrite your narrative, okay? And this was, again, just another way of uncovering any other hidden blocks that might be in the way of what you're seeking to achieve. Finally, I asked you to create your own personal audio, and I'd love to know who actually did that, because I've made another audio to share with you, and what I did was I took the I am statements from health, relationships, finances, and personal growth. And those four I've basically created an audio for that, which I will share with you. It's got a load more wording in it that I otherwise didn't suggest you to put in. But, you know, if you want to copy it and make your own, remember you've got this opportunity to add in more I am statements. Once you've rewritten your script, you'll be able to write in whatever you like. And I'd recommend that you record your script and you start, you know, you just put that on and you listen to that, what you're actually co-creating, what you're choosing. Because once you declare it as truth, once you state it as truth, everything around you starts to really materialize. And I really learnt that this summer. Like, turning 40 for me was a massive, like, you know, when you're kind of getting to the edge of a big drop and you're like, I don't know what's on the other end of that, haven't thought past it. And really, again, there were a whole heap of things that I wanted to have happened in my life at the point of turning 40 that I had to accept hadn't. And it was like, okay, well, you know, what is this new story going to be? What is this new decade going to be about? And as I let go and let God, which is next week, but I got really clear on the things that I felt were missing in my life, including the things that I felt I couldn't give myself, like more physical intimacy. I wanted more sex, you know, I wanted to be able to grow alongside someone. I wanted massage. I wanted just more physical self-care. And I wrote those things down and reminded myself I deserved them. And it was a decision to just accept them into my life. And they're all coming through. Like, it's all coming through. I looked at my wall in my bedroom the other day and was like, my goodness. Only a few weeks ago you were like, what's going on with this? How come it hasn't happened? And only now you're thinking, oh, you had to unblock the flow. And I had to unblock the flow by basically stopping myself trying to get it from where it couldn't come, which was from people that were blocked. I was attracted to people that were shut down and blocked. This was all part of my paradigm. And as I decided that I deserved better and I deserved to be met at the vibration that I was emitting, that's what started to happen. I just had to say yes and own my truth as it kept coming up and allow myself to receive. I'm giving you a whole load of stuff ahead of time, but it's in these conscious choices that we can start to recalibrate our subconscious, okay? So you're doing it already. You are multidimensional. We all are. Okay, that wasn't the final thing in the audio. The final thing was questioning what external signs you see a lot of. Do they see?
Shut up!
Or is this just... Yes, we can hear you.
Sorry, Rosie.
We love you!
I can't see you. Sorry, Rosie, I didn't realise you could hear me there.
Don't you worry, you're so loved. You go ahead and tell it to shut up. I'm going to mute you, darling. I love it. There's no hiding. We're all in truth. Let's be naked. It's all good, baby. It's all good. So, what external signs do you see a lot of? Do they seem to encourage or resist your intention? Now, this is important, and I've got a lovely story to share with you that will help you see what I mean. So, you know, when you have an intention for something, but it seems like everything around you is blocking you, yeah, what is being mirrored to you? You know, say you want okay, say you want true love in your life and you keep seeing single magpies everywhere. Well, single magpies are supposed to be one for sorrow, two for joy, right? So if you read that one way, you could say, oh, I'm not meant to have love in my life. Or another way would be, oh, okay, in order to have love in my life, I must let go of the sorrow I hold and the bitterness that I hold and the sadness that I hold. So it's just interesting to see when you're going about your business and you're thinking the thoughts you are, when you catch yourself thinking the everyday thoughts you are, what are you noticing around you? Do you notice the drudgery and broken dreams, or do you notice the joys? I mean, I live in Brighton. Those of us who live in Brighton, we know there's a lot of homeless people here. Like, that victim consciousness is everywhere, and we can't ignore it. And it's how we work through it that is important. And it's again about our generosity of heart and emotion. That doesn't necessarily mean money. It just means being big-hearted, smiling, saying hello, acknowledging, creating a sense of worthiness. You know, I'm just giving this as an example because often we don't want to look at external signs because they're too painful for us to look at. We don't know what to do with them. So you can say, what is there lacking here that I need to see more of? What is lacking? What am I not seeing that I want to see? And then how do you interpret what you see? Okay, so we're in step 5, reframe, rewrite, and change the narrative. It's all about expanding your perception of what's possible. Time to reorientate and check that the map you have is the one you want to follow, and that means changing the perception you're looking through, getting clear on what story you want to write and energize it, discovering the key qualities of your character. These will be the positives you create from your perceived negatives, and changing how you talk about situations that challenge you. Okay, so there's going to be a point to go into the homework. Let's just have a look. So, Anusara, yeah, before I go any further on this, I will go through the homework. So, let's leave that there. Okay, so, all right. So some of the things that I noticed when we look at how we talk about things. So I was reading through all the things that you have sent me, and for one person, everything that they wrote was, I need to do this, I need to do that, I need to do this, I need to do that. And all that brought up for me was, it infers that you're not doing a good job. You know, it infers that as you are, you're not good enough. It infers that there is a lack, because ultimately whatever you're doing isn't enough. And if you improve yourself, then you'll be worthy of what you want. So the main thing from the I need list, which was handwritten, is I am deserving of. I would just flip those words round, and I am deserving of. And just allow yourself to get into the feeling states you want and to rewrite what you've written from the point of deserving. But don't do that until you've gone through the document and you see that bit of, you know, the questions I've asked and then the hidden roadblocks bit and all the rest of it. That will really help you to take what you've written and reframe it. Just look at it. It is that whole good girl, bad girl, good boy, bad boy thing, isn't it? It's like, if I do this, then I'm good. If I do this, then I'm bad. And that's what trips us up. All of us. Absolutely all of us. I'll go on to the next one in a minute. So then I had someone who scored that their physical environment was the sort of top priority, and that what they wanted more than anything was kind of to be trigger-free, to be on their own, to be independent, so free of dependence. And what really came to me from this was like, in order to not feel triggered, one needs to be on their own, because every connection with everybody else, whether it's children, whether it's partner, whether it's family, whether it's friends, is a reminder of where we are lacking and where we view ourselves in the negative. So the key shift for this person is really about owning the triggers, so practicing mastery. Being triggered makes us feel like we are failing, so we want to avoid being triggered. So what happens if you embrace everything in your life right now? What are you resisting? And it doesn't mean that you're suddenly going to be happy in a relationship you're not happy in, but it means that you can start to practice being the person you want to be in the environment that you're currently in. And as you mentioned, you know, this is about being able to be honest with others, but we can't be honest with others until we're honest with ourselves. We can't risk speaking up and then being triggered and then coming from a hurt place until we have had the conversation with ourselves and what we want our outcomes to be, where we're prepared to negotiate, where we're not prepared to negotiate, which is about boundaries. And, you know, just remembering that none of us want to be judged, and if we feel that our interactions with others constantly lead us to a state of feeling judged or judging someone, then it's totally understandable why someone would want to not partake in engaging with others. But that's not the point. It's not to separate ourselves, it's to create the beautiful connections of unifying consciousness. And as you raise your vibration, it will become intolerable for those around you that don't want to change to be in it, and it will make them confront what they don't otherwise confront, because you stop enabling a connection as it is. So, you know, with our children, we need to have clear and consistent boundaries as much as possible, and we need to show up as the person we want to be. So if we want to be fun and exciting, then we've got to start reminding ourselves what makes us feel fun and exciting. So if that's listening to music you haven't listened to for a while, if that's putting something funny on that you love to watch, you know, if it's anything, it's change one little thing and that will work. Okay, so then I had another person's feedback which really was about the fear of change. It's just so overwhelming to actually make the change, which involves separating from partner, that it becomes a situation where you do everything other than that, absolutely everything other than the one thing that needs to happen, which is to accept that this relationship is not going to work out. Now, what does that then bring out? Fear of change, right? It's fear of change, and it's also the vows that we adhere to. So if our family wasn't particularly loving, we didn't have our needs met, then we can't bear the idea of creating a similar environment for our children where their needs aren't met. So we try to create a family dynamic that is what we've been told is right. So it's mum and dad together and the children together and the dog and the cat. But, you know, if the essence of truth is not in that dynamic, is not a healthy truth, it is not the best thing for the children to be in that space. It is much, much more beneficial for the children to see strength in one parent, at least if they don't see it in the other, and to see how they believe in themselves and therefore face the challenges. So if you know there's something you need to do and you're just like, I just don't know how I'm going to do it, but you know now there's no way round ignoring it, then it's about breaking it into baby steps. It's about getting all the information together that you need in order to feel safe to make the next move. And I don't like the statement, but it's an analogy. You know, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. You know, you just take it a little bit at a time, and you remove the blocks from the wall that are easy to remove, but you get the support structure in place so that you can build your confidence and know what steps you're going to take and the order in which you're going to take them and the time frame that you're going to take them. These are all your personal boundaries, which will be lacking at the moment, which is why you're in the toxic scenario you're in. And as you put all of those in place, you're basically stating what you're doing, and so it starts to happen. And you get very clear that it's the right thing, it is the highest good of all, win-win-win, then you can act and you can find the bravery in you that you might not have had otherwise. Okay, and final one was about, someone sent me their 6-step synopsis, and they had put 3 priorities in. One was relationships, one was finances, and I think one was home life, possibly. But when I read through the statements, to me it seemed like health was by far the most important thing to focus on. That actually, if you're not feeling good in your body, if you can't sleep, or if you're sleeping too much and your energy levels are not there, if you have acne, if you have health conditions that are preventing you feeling your best, you can't possibly put a relationship at the front of that, or personal growth in the sense of you know, looking for other things. That what's staring you in the face is, right, I need to make some changes in my physical life. I need to make some changes for myself today that are going to help me to be much healthier, because the physical, this is why we did the hierarchy of needs, this is why we did Maslow's pyramid. If you don't take care of that basic thing first, everything else can't thrive. You're asking someone else to love you for what you don't love yourself for. You're looking for a distraction. You're looking for something to distract you from how you feel about yourself and your life. And also the other thing I really picked up from there was this sense of duty. And the question was, who are you living your life for? Your family or you? And of course you're not, you know, on the one hand you're going to want a relationship, but on the other hand you're not going to want a relationship if all you've seen is negative relationships around you. So until you can have the idea of what a healthy and loving relationship could feel like to you, then it's not going to be possible to change the history of the narrative that has followed you so far. So actually, it's almost like recognizing that the health issues you have almost give you the excuse not to have to do what has been done before. However, you have to keep being accountable to those people that worry about you, and it's a negative cycle. So I would suggest you look at everything from reprioritizing health. You look at what we said about removing endocrine disruptive chemicals from your life, electromagnetic frequencies, just those things, turning your Wi-Fi off and looking at the products you use on your body and in your home will start to help you to feel better. And then from there, looking at your dietary choices and starting to shift how you eat. And really focus on celebrating the good, starting to exercise, starting to do one thing differently a day that's going to make you feel better about yourself. And this is it, you know, I remember myself having gone through, well, being severely overweight and also bulimic and having all sorts of issues with food in the past, that I really did just want someone to love me. And I wasn't giving myself the love that I wanted others to give me. So the kind of love I got wasn't the kind of love I wanted. Until I started to give myself the love I wanted and to get excited about what was in here, this amazingness that is me, how I operate, then it was never going to be reflected externally. I was just bored by the people interested in me. So I hope that helps you. Okay, I'll leave the homework there, but that's the feedback on what I've got. So definitely I'd say to you all, if you haven't sent me your feedback yet, use that 6 steps document that I sent you after week 4 and read through it before you start to answer the questions. And you don't have to write long old stories. You can just put key points down. If you feel you need to write long old stories, go for it. But remember, that's for your benefit, for you to highlight the key messages you keep telling yourself. And that's what I do after you've written it all down. It's basically to highlight what it is that keeps being repeated. If you know you're in victim consciousness, okay, then you know you're in victim consciousness. What would it feel like to be empowered in this situation? I'm going to keep going to feeling first, then what it looks like, what you think about it, and so forth. All right, so we're now going to the 3 A's of Anusara, aligning with grace. If you remember, I said to you right at the start, week 1, that grace is, it comes into my life in all these different ways, but essentially through Rosy Glow, it is being able to let go easily of what no longer serves you. So this soft pink flame, it's here at the bottom of these presentations, this soft pink light is the Rosy Glow frequency. It's the frequency of divine grace. And it just allows you to drop the stories. That's the main thing, first of all, and then everything else changes. So it's compassion, and this is where it ties into compassion. So we said about working with the 3 A's of Anusara. Anu means with, Sara with flow. So flowing with grace, letting go easily of what no longer serves you. Going with the flow is the power of revelation, which comes from following your heart and harmonizing your brain with it. So if you remember, we did some work on heart-brain resonance, and I explained to you that it's not about just following your heart any more than it's about just following your logic, your brain, your conditioning. It's about getting your brain to entrain with your heart's truth, because your heart is where your superconscious resides. I'm going to tie this in together for you next week. But if you harmonize your heart to your brain, that's different to harmonizing your brain to your heart, right? So the heart-brain resonance is like getting the brain to actually harmonize with the heart. And it's getting the brain to focus in the way that is going to expand what is the truth of the heart. So essentially, by focusing on appreciation, gratitude, care, and compassion, we start to activate the frequencies that move us into the parasympathetic nervous system response, which is the rest, repair, feed, and breed. When we do that, our whole energy field changes, our immune system is strengthened, and we have clarity of mind that otherwise we don't. It even affects the food choices you will go for. So this is what I mean. This is why these very basics I gave you as daily habits, like that's the first thing I would be doing if you can't do anything else, is ticking off those daily habits every day and making sure you've done them. You know, that's concrete action-based, well, it's concrete actions that will lead to some results and some shifts for you. So remember that for maximum co-creation efficiency, we need to harmonize the brain to the heart's truth, okay? So heart-brain resonance, yeah, that's what it's called. Heart-brain resonance is entraining the brain to the heart. Okay, and there was another point with grace, and that is gifts freely given, okay? From the Christian point of view, the gifts are constantly being blown our way, like we're constantly being offered an abundance of whatever is good and bountiful. But if we are focused in the opposite direction, we're not going to see it. So quickly, the 3 A's of Anusara from a yoga perspective: attitude, divine will, Icha, the heart. So the power of the heart is the force behind every action we take. It is our intention. I think everyone's attitude is to be happy, the aspiration to reawaken to our divine nature, and the celebration of life. In Anusara, they use a metaphor to explain the 3 A's. The attitude is the desire to unlock the door and be free. Now, a lot of you talked about freedom. So this is the intention. The attitude is the desire to unlock the door and be free. If attitude has a voice, it would say, I want, or my heart wants, which is why I asked you about intention. And I asked you to make it feeling-based. Okay, secondly, alignment, divine knowledge, or jnana, I can never say it right, and mind. So alignment has to do with how various parts of ourselves are integrated and interconnected. Through self-study and self-observation, we can learn how to align ourselves physically, energetically, emotionally, and mentally. It is the knowledge of technique. How do we want to align ourselves with this situation, with life, with the divine? The alignment is the knowledge of how to align the key in the lock and how to turn the key to open the door to freedom. If alignment has a voice, it would say, I think, or my mind thinks this is the plan. So you see here where we get to heart-brain resonance again. So the heart starts, then the brain entrains with it. This is what you're doing on this course. You're following a process to basically get aligned with your heart's truth. And you're seeing where you're out of alignment. So then the action element, which is coming, clear the body, is taking the action of the alignment. It is the manifestation. Action is actually turning the key in the lock and involves knowing the amount of force needed to turn the key. If action had a voice, I think it would say, let's do this, or my body is going to do this. So now if we take this into a story so you can actually grasp this in terms of why I've asked you to do all these things around the sat-nav idea. The lovely Hope, who has been happy for me to share this story, basically is one of my top graduates on my Fearless, Empowered and Free to Be course. They're all having success stories, but this young woman is 23 years old. If I knew what she knows at her age, oh my goodness, watch this space. Anyway, she decided she had the intention to go travelling. She wanted to go travelling. She had some time to kill in terms of the fact that her university course didn't start till September. She had a few months. She had nowhere to live. She wanted to go and have a good time. She also wanted to gain independence and to learn and grow from it. So she had this thirst to go and see the world, go play, hang out in some beautiful places, gain her independence, and as she claimed it, to grow with it and to grow from it. Now the alignment of that, so what she was getting, by the way, was she was getting signs to go to Kauai. So her first stop was actually to go to South America somewhere, Central America, but she kept seeing signs to go to Kauai. And this was interesting because that's where my teacher is, and she started to see them in England, and we were like, well, okay, obviously the external signs are saying go to Kauai, right? So she was really trying to get herself over to Kauai, but what she was finding was that it was really difficult, it was really expensive, she didn't have the money, she actually couldn't get the support out there to find where she should stay and all the rest of it. So she thought that she was going to Kauai. That was the intention. And just by virtue of her quest to go there, she was then shown the declared roadworks that she would need to negotiate in order to get there, which is symbolic of being a co-creator of your reality. So think about it. Kauai is a paradise island. In order for her to co-create her personal paradise, which is what we do through my other programs, she needed to set an intention to go there and then see what was coming up for her that was preventing her being there. Now, what was coming up for her was she needed to own some patterns of dysfunction. She needed to look at where her subconscious programming was out of alignment with her intention. So she had to lay these patterns of dysfunction to rest. But to do that, she needed to bring light to them in order to have the skills to maintain being a conscious co-creator. So she had to see what was coming up as her internal resistance in order to be able to move forward and to actually co-create her personal paradise, which was the intention was Kauai, but actually it was more about bringing that idea home with her. So her action was to take ownership of what needs to happen in order to clear the blocks and set course in her desired direction, making sure all actions are coming from love. Now we take this a step further. So this is where you get creative in your co-creation. So this is where I just wanted to show you that her external signs were saying go to Kauai, but actually she couldn't line up with that. There was a roadblock to that, which meant that she needed to look at what she could do next. What happened was she wanted to go to Kauai, but in order to go there she had to face the fact that certain things needed to line up. For her in particular, it was finances and relationships. This led to her to go to stay with her grandmother in America and learn more about her history and therefore make more choices about what she wanted to create for herself rather than miscreate through her conditioning. So she healed her mother line and she healed her father line through going on this trip. She also had just met this beautiful man that she's with now, and she obviously left him, went away, had to face her fears of being dependent financially, borrowed money. You know, all of this was a lesson in trust for her that she would never have gone through if she hadn't set her intention to go to Kauai. Because through that, all this other stuff became very clear. She would have to do it first before she could co-create in her paradise island. Now, here's the funny thing. She went to her grandmother, she came back, and then suddenly all these doorways started opening for Kauai. Like, people got back to her, all the rest of it. But she is co-creating her personal paradise here in England because she's moved to her dream home with her partner. She's basically got through what most of us who are a bit older take a lot longer to do. So I'm really excited about what's happening for her. And what I put with this slide was, you know, being creative in your co-creation. If you know you've got to do something in order for things to change, doesn't that sound dumb? You know, you've got to engage the board in a teen and in a child and all the rest of it. Like, if you want them to go somewhere, it's got to be fun for them, right? So this is why getting creative is so important. This is why you want to check in with what's going on in your body and what's going on externally. So learning to read the direction on the map, learning to read the weather too. So you're learning to get and to give a climate report. You know, you want to go a certain way, but are the weather conditions favourable or not right now? If not, they might be in the future. So you get clear on what is right for you now. Yeah, to get to Kauai, you have to go to your grandma first. So this is all about reframing now. Now you can see, hopefully, through all the things that you have written, that where you want to go and where you are heading are not the same place, because you have a desire to go somewhere, but you've revealed to yourself all the reasons why you can't go there, right? Tell me yes or no. So how you feel about something and how you want to feel don't add up. How are you going to change this? Well, by expanding your perception of what is possible and allowing a shift in how you are viewing the situation, person, circumstances, or challenge. This equates to asking for a miracle, which is why in your daily habits there is, you know, developing a miracle mindset and calling in miracles for any area of your life that you're like, I'm running late, I need a miracle. I don't know what to do about this, I need a miracle. Call on the miracles, there's plenty for everybody, you don't run out. I mean, these are the gifts freely given, they're shifts in perception, use it. Miracles are shifts in perception that allow the impossible to become possible. It just allows you to see things a little bit differently, okay? And look, I do all the work I'm asking you to do. This is how I get through my challenges, and I have fun doing it. And there are times where I just don't do things. If I have in my head, I've really got to make those videos, I've really got to make those videos, but I'm not feeling like making videos, I've learned to not make the videos, okay? no point if my heart's not in it. The time will come I'll be inspired, and that's when I'll make the videos. If there is something you absolutely have to do, okay, then you change your mindset to it. You ask to be shifted in your mindset so that you can actually do it. But listening to your rhythms is important, and then dealing with what that internal resistance is important too. Sometimes it could be I don't want to make videos because I'm frightened. I'm frightened of being persecuted or what others will think. In this instance, it's because I had a shock on the weekend regarding a family member, and I'm just needing to deal with that. So it will come, So you just really, really listen to the weather. Your internal weather and what's going on outside is really important that the two match up. And if you know you're internally resisting something, then you just ask that the blocks are revealed and healed. That's all. Ask for a miracle. It will help you. So checking the map. Time to reorientate and check that the map you have is the one you want to follow. The map's the same, baby. It's just the lens you see it through, okay? So on another note, the map's the same, but where you actually want to go might change, So the story of your life is already written out down here, and then you're going forward. But if you're not careful, what you're doing is you keep colouring what's going on forward with what was going on in the past, and that's what we're clearing now. So remember, we uncovered last week third dimensional, fourth dimensional, and fifth dimensional consciousness. Essentially, the biggest difference between 5D and 4 and 3D is that there is no fear in the fifth dimensional reality. You've moved beyond fear. You have absolute trust in the divine yourself, being the divine, and you're co-creating with that aspect of yourself. Also, in 5D, everything is manifesting in alignment with your will. You're owning that. You are a co-creator of your reality and the source of your creations. That doesn't mean you're the only co-creator, because everybody's co-creating around you too. But you are claiming your power as a co-creator of your reality. In 4D and 3D, you're not doing that yet. It's all just a bit like, whoa. So that's a very important distinction. When you are actually looking at the direction on your map, you're looking at your destination and you're looking at the course you're taking. What you want to ask yourself is this where I want to go? And which I wants to go there? 3D me, 4D me, or 5D me? That will really help you, okay? Is this where I want to go? And, yeah, which dimension of me wants to go there? Because, again, I've said it in every week, the conflict between duty and desire, what I see time and again in people's miscreations is that they're in a conflict between what they feel they should do and what they really want to do, And I think that is, again, keeps taking you to places of healing. Personal thing for me at the moment is, I obviously have two businesses. I have Enjoy Yoga and Rosy Glow, and my passion is to really focus on Rosy Glow. But Enjoy Yoga still needs me, according to my ego. And actually, I could become just someone that no one knows in Enjoy Yoga anymore. I just founded it. Now, where's my conflict in this, considering I earn much less through Enjoy than I do elsewhere? My conflict is that I kept the business going when my mother was dying, when she was diagnosed with cancer and then died. And so I have such an invested interest in not giving that business up, because if I do, it proves that, I should have given up when she needed me. And as I haven't fulfilled it to the end, then, I'm just basically, giving up. And that's not true at all. That's just a story where I haven't forgiven myself, and that has to be brought to light. So I have to feel the discomfort of my inner conflict, because really, I'm tired of schlepping up and down all the time and having a few people turn up in a class when that's not what it's about, not in terms of what I do these days. So, I hope my personal sharings help you, because we will constantly encounter moments, stories, decisions that are, icky. Icky's the right word. And it's just by deciding to go into them that you will then find your answers. And, one of the things for me is I'll never really leave Enjoy, and I am a figurehead for it, and I can put myself in it in a different way. And it's just finding the right way for now. So you step back to get perspective. You own how you really feel without telling anyone else. I'm telling you. And then you see what comes from there. So essential requirements for true and lasting shifts. And this is so important. You need all of these for change, okay? So using in the moment co-creation tools that teach you to set your internal sat-nav in the direction of what brings you joy. Those are the daily habits, okay, and learning to reframe. 2, addressing both the symptoms and the causes of fear-based living, fear being false evidence appearing real. So we know the causes are inherited beliefs and programming, and our symptoms are how we feel and how we respond to our daily life. So you can't do one without the other. You've got to do both. 3, detoxing the emotional and the mental body to reprogram your subconscious conditioning. This clears your energy field and pain body of emotional and psychological trauma. And this is something I do as part of all of my programs. It's something that my teacher taught me, that I trained in, and it is very, very powerful, and that's why I use it to complement everything else I do, because that's how I see things sticking. Also, you need physical practices for releasing deep holding patterns. For me, that's yoga. For you, it might be breath work, it might be Tai Chi, it might be Qigong, but it is something that incorporates a holistic approach to energy, to the body, to the heart, to the emotions, to all the 4 layers of the, if you think physical, pranic, emotional, mental, and astral body. Your astral body and your pranic body, quite interesting comparisons really there, but they're kind of like etheric doubles of your physical body, and they need to be healthy as your physical body does, which can only really start to happen through clearing the emotional and the mental bodies, okay, and that is the reconditioning. So those layers need to be cleared for you to access beyond 4D, which is the astral plane, and to access your co-creation success. So, yeah, for me it's yoga, but it could be something else. Through releasing these deep holding patterns, it clears the physical cellular memory and repatterns it. So you just much more quickly clear both the cloud storage and the physical storage of the trauma that you've held and repattern it. And finally, it's learning to move from a place of judgment to becoming the observer and co-creator. And this is what the third eye is about. Third eye judges nothing. It's just like it observes everything without any judgment. That's a discipline. You know, that's what yoga teaches you, is to move out of judgment. Okay. So judgment, more on the inner critic, self-saboteur, judge, jury, and executioner. They're all in here, baby. So judgment comes from the mother lines, okay? I don't know why we've got 2 S's there. The female wounds. So whether you actually got judgment from your dad, it will have come from his mum, right? It's the inner feminine being out of balance that inflicts judgment, okay? So it's a mother wound, whether it came from dad or from mum. It will affect your inner feminine, so that the inner mother in you, whether she's loving or not. It triggers the deep fear that we all have, that we're worthless, that actually we have no intrinsic value. We have to be value added. I'm no good and I will be abandoned because of it. So if people find out really what a shit you are, or I am, or anyone else is, that's it. They're not going to be interested anymore. So we hide the truth from ourselves. We become master manipulators in order to avoid this fear occurring at all costs. So take that again, because there's lots of bringing things together now. We become master manipulators, so that's the negative side of co-creating consciously, in order to avoid this false evidence appearing real. The false evidence, or the false emotion, is that the belief that I'm worthless, I'm no good, and I'll be abandoned because of it. And where do we get that from? We get that from people disapproving of our behaviour at a very young age, which is usually when we're so dependent on them. You know, with anyone who's been a mum knows what it's like when you are very tired and you're sleep deprived and your child doesn't stop crying and you say something you don't want to say, but you say it anyway, and then you feel terribly guilty about it and all the rest of it. That's what we've all been subjected to one way or another, because none of us really have had the support that we need in this life. So we all have unmet needs, and that's what it comes down to. So to rewrite the story, we also need to evolve our inner family to their divine status, part of aligning with your intentions to clear up hidden blocks. So you'll be able to see how much your inner family are supporting or negating the intentions you seek to manifest. And this is where we had to look at mum and dad and the key messages that you got. So this takes us to this one here. Give me a sec, I'm just checking on time. Thank you. I didn't take that from there. Okay, it's there. So your inner family is usually as healthy as the family you grew up around. Okay, you don't need to spend forever on this, because there will be key triggers from mum and key triggers from dad. You know, my mum sadly passed away, but I can tell you now she was very controlling, very judgmental, very quick to react. You know, these are all things that I remember about my mum. She was also really good at problem solving, and she used to just always find a way round. Now my dad, very critical, very judgmental, always stressed about something. That's what happened this weekend for me, is I found out my dad had a heart attack. And this whole thing is just like, okay, I've seen his patterns, and I've seen how I have taken those patterns on. When I'm really stressed, I react the way my dad does. I'm not so able to communicate what I'm trying to get done. So it all just goes blah, 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 and usually goes with an insult as well. So it's so nasty what can come out that it's like, wow, if something so nasty comes out of someone, then you can understand that something so nasty has been put into them, okay? And that goes back to this worthlessness. So to move further, we also need to understand the relationship between our inner family and how this is modeled on the perceptions of the physical family we grew up around. And this is why I asked you, what messages did you grow up around? Please share them, and you can do that now as we're going through the presentation. What were the key messages that you grew up around? I know for me, it was that life is stressful, it's hard, money doesn't grow on trees, love is painful, you can't trust men, you can't trust women. Those are all messages that I grew up around. So, whatever you've got that you can just reel off just like that without thinking about it, that's there in your conditioning. So what needs did you have that you perceived didn't get met? To be heard, to be understood, for those that you were growing up around to express interest and delight in what you were doing. Were you ignored? Were you put on a pedestal with tremendous pressure put on you? Like, what was there? What about the need to just be allowed to be what you are without having to be perfect? I hope this is triggering stuff for you. Thanks, Lizzie. Children should be seen and not heard. Brilliant. Any of the ones that just fire up, just get them out there. Get them out, because these are things that are pissing you off on the inside. We've got to clear them. So, what did you like to play with? Activities you enjoyed, things you wanted to be when you grew up. I asked you to think about this week 1, and it stumped you, some of you anyway. So, I gave you the example. I loved to play babies being born. I loved to play mummies and daddies. I loved to play, as I got older, it was Madonna, like dressing up as Madonna and making dance routines and, fantasizing about being famous. It was never like, I wasn't into board games, I wasn't into, computer games, I wasn't into anything. It was always creative, it was always performing in some way. And that just gives you some sense of your essence, There was the mummy daddy stuff there was the babies being born thing there. These were natural interests that before the age of 7, before anyone's really, you've decided to be something in order to gain the approval of others. Like, these are just the things that you were interested in, that you enjoyed. There's so many things when you think about it, so it's good to just talk about it with others, and that's something you could use the forum for, the Facebook page. What behaviours in others really trigger and irritate you? I asked you to get clear on that, because you will hold some judgment on what they are, and either you will overcompensate, as I explained earlier, or you will also have those qualities in you. So for some of you, I know how frustrated you've been with feeling like you couldn't understand where the program was leading you. And, the desire to want to give up, it's too much, it's triggering too much, it's too overwhelming. Even just this thing where you're trying to get on the call and you can't hear or you can't see. And, the fact that things have to be difficult for you to grow, there's something there, in that sense that you're showing up, but there's resistance. And that resistance is then either going to be projected inward towards yourself that you're doing something wrong, or it's going to be projected outwardly towards me that I'm doing something wrong, because someone has to be at fault, rather than what's coming up for me here, because this is perfect. What is coming up for me? Oh, overwhelm, the desire to blame, the desire to judge myself. There you have it. That's all the stuff that needs to be reframed and loved, okay? And then I asked you, to consider the I am statements that you find hard to believe, because they are the ones that we've really got to work with. So this is what it comes to. Whatever you answer to the above questions, which are on the previous slide, will help you discover your true key character qualities, which we often perceive in the negative. For example, we're told we're stubborn as children, instead of being, honoured for being tenacious and determined. We're told we're quiet instead of, being honoured for being excellent observers, or getting into, things and sort of observing things and and taking the time to feel into it. We're told we're loud instead of being praised for our confidence and being taught how to sort of manage it in different conditions without creating shame. We're told we're fearful, or we think we're fearful, instead of accepting we're sensitive and we pick up on loads of stuff we don't know how to deal with. We're chaotic instead of creative. You know, oh, it's all too confusing, I'm chaotic. And some people are really ordered, some people are really creative. You know, chaotic, creative, however you want to go. Either way, one without the other would be utterly dull, and that's what we're here for, to celebrate our uniqueness. We need to change how we see ourselves. Okay, so your inner masculine, we're going to do a little co-creation in a minute. So your inner masculine is going to be most represented by your father, and by your father I mean the man that you grew up around, if you grew up around a man, and if you didn't grow up around a man in your home, whoever the men were that you saw the most are going to be forming your inner masculine. And also you will see both positive and negative traits of your inner masculine in your partner if you have one, and in your children if you have children, or in your grandparents, your friendships. Okay, so just be aware that the inner masculine in balance, hello Kate, welcome. So the inner masculine in balance is positive, results orientated, focused direction, practical steps to take, absolute and flexible boundaries. So this part of you is just able to problem solve without getting into stories. If you know your inner masculine operates in the negative, which just take it that they probably are, then there will be stifling, limited perception, pressure to succeed, unwilling to be adaptable, stuck in a certain mindset or way. So typically the men that are stuck in 3D around you will remind you of where your inner masculine is stuck, because your inner feminine might be saying, oh, things can be totally different to this, but your inner masculine is going, don't be daft, you're being fanciful again, this is the real world. You know, this is what it comes down to. And yeah, we do have basic needs that we absolutely need to meet. And if we don't meet those basic needs, we can't really do much beyond that. But for you at the moment, to be able to actually have a positive relationship with your inner male, I would invite you to start to look at the men in your life and just to try and focus on their positive qualities, the ones that you see that are positive, and anything that's negative, you know, just that you've noticed, just write it down, because your inner masculine will be showing up in that way. They wouldn't be in your life if they weren't. Okay, so your inner feminine. Understanding your inner feminine in her positive sense, she really is this feeling-based, ideas-based beauty. You know, creative desire. This is the energy in our wombs that, you know, it's just like, oh, whether it's a baby or whether it's just intimacy or whether it's a project we want to birth, it's there. And this is the energizing of something you wish to create. It's having that initial intention. I want to conceive this, whatever it is. Feeling where you are creating from. So it's important to understand that when we're in love, this radiating energy that pulls experiences in, and it's about receiving rather than taking. So if you're coming from love, you will pull that in. If you're coming from fear, you will pull that in. You are receiving what you are broadcasting. And also when you're in the positive, you will be in a state of receptivity rather than trying to take from others in order to feel worthy, you know. And those are those little hook-ins that we need others to praise us to feel good. You start praising yourself, others will start praising you. And if they don't, they'll bring up your shadow. In the negative, this is for most of us our experience of the feminine. Decision-making and desires are driven by anxiety, need to control in order to feel safe, focused on failure, judgment, shame, what isn't there rather than what you would like to be there. So, you know, you can really think about your mum or the woman who brought you up and the women around you, and to think about what the key messages were that they gave you and how much are they in a state of trust. How often do I hear mums worrying about the school trip, about the this, about the that? Mums go to bed with a list of things to be anxious about every night. That's what they've been trained to do. As mothers, we feel that's what we have to do. And so we pass this negative on to our children to pass on until they decide they're not going to do it anymore. And, you know, this is now 5th generation post-war, 7 generations really to be able to clear the effects fully from the impact of trauma. And I'm not lying, this is the generation of mental health. It's coming through where everybody's accepting, our children's generation, so my daughter's 18 and below, that, yeah, they're not right. Something's not right, and it needs looking at, it needs being brought to the surface and owned, and wow, how wonderful in my generation, we just ate it away, drank it away, smoked it away, puked it away. And this generation, it's beyond that now. It's self-harm if they're not getting recognised for the actual impact of what's going on, that they need all this trauma brought to light and owned. So the inner child, understanding your inner child, the positive side of your inner child when you really are in alignment, so mum and dad inside of you are giving you the messages of praise, then you're in a state of pure innocent inspiration. Anything is possible. What do I want to experience now? What needs do I have to fulfill? It's okay to have needs, you know? It's okay to have desires. And it's okay to change your mind. You know, these are things we were never allowed to do as children. No, you have to stick at it. You've got to commit. Make inspiration boring, why don't you? The negative side of the inner child, this is the part of us that's all the unmet needs. Needy, whiny, unaware of the impact on others, desperation to have a need met by the outside world rather than owning it from within, the parts of us that got stunted by unprocessed trauma and never grew or healed from this. So this is when you have an expectation for your needs to be met externally. This is when you sort of almost feel life owes you because of what you've been through. Life owes you nothing, okay? You can take what's gone on in your life and choose to learn and grow from it, and by doing that, start seeing changes in your life. Or you can play out the hard luck story that you were born into, and no one is saying you weren't born into a hard luck story. It's what you do with it. And there are some beautiful stories around this in terms of, you know, twins that basically had exactly the same start in life, and, you know, one ends up a drug addict, prostitute on the street, and the other ends up, you know, with a happy relationship and with children and a successful career, and she's really well. And they were both interviewed, and this is one example of many. And, you know, the question was, you know, how do you feel you came to live your life like this? And the answer was, well, with a history like mine, there was really no other way. So both of them were seeing it from a different perspective. One was seeing it from victim consciousness, and the other was seeing it from, there's no way I'm repeating this, so this is going to shift now. So we are required to mature all aspects of the inner family to co-create with grace and ease. I think it really helps to know that most of us, well, many of us, not most of us, have had a tough start in life. And if we haven't, we will have challenges along the way that we didn't expect. And so in the end, we all come to experience the soul growth that we're here to experience in accordance with what we've chosen for ourselves. So the circumstances you've got, if you can accept, as difficult as they are, that on a higher level you have chosen them for the growth that you're going to receive if you decide to pull your sleeves up and dig in and actually be happier than you ever thought possible, then that is what you will get. If you don't believe that, you're not going to get it. That's simple. You make a decision. So, yes, the needy inner child, we all know this person. You know, they're just really difficult to be around, just like the needy inner female and the needy inner male are really difficult to be around. They just put tentacles out and hook into you, and their happiness is dependent on your actions. It's absolutely unacceptable. Unacceptable and not true. So I just invite you to contemplate that, and if it's triggered you, I am sorry. Right, maturing our own inner family. So we're required to mature all aspects of this inner family to co-create with grace and ease. We need to upgrade and recalibrate the voices we hear from wounded to divine perspectives. Consider the Father or consciousness. Now, Kate, I hope you're still on the call because this one's for you. I was working on it with, well, I shared it with Cherie because it came to me a long time ago. But the Father, if you think of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit, you have here that consciousness, information, light is the masculine. It's the Father energy. It's the lingam it's the Shiva, if you like, the focus direction, okay, but it has no energy behind it, it's just consciousness. And this is where we evolve from the wounded to the divine. The Son is basically the alchemy of love light. So when you bring the Holy Spirit and the Father consciousness together, you create this beautiful alchemy. This is why we are beings of love and light. And this is where the wounded inner child moves from separation into wholeness, and as a result of that, as claiming our wholeness, we become the Son, the superconscious, which is the Son of the Father, and the Holy Spirit, which is the Mother, right? So the Holy Spirit connection is energy, divine inspiration, love. It's when we move from the wounded feminine to the divine that we embody this inspiration. So it's the inspired idea that has energy, and the male, the masculine, the father drives that energy in the best possible direction. That's when you really do trust your higher self to lead you where you most need to go. So if we go back to the 3 A's of Anusara, attitude, intention, ideas are actually the feminine aspect, they're the Holy Spirit aspect, if you like, the Kundalini, the energy that drives, okay, inspiration forward. Alignment, loving up resistance, which is all the blocks you've all written about, is the inner child, which becomes the superconscious through the work that we're doing. And this is you applying principles of working through your challenges to get to a place of understanding. That's what the course is about. That's what you're doing. You're aligning with your divine through this course. And finally, your action, inspired, love-based physical steps is the masculine aspect. When we know what we want to create, we're excited about it, we've cleared up our resistance to it, then we can really drive forward in confidence. And you see here this torus of energy around this human. This is our energy flowing down and up, down and up. It's going up and around, but it's also going down and around, down and around. We're bringing source energy to Gaia, Gaia's energy up to source. We are amazing beings of love and light. So, process of maturing the inner family. Again, thinking of these 3 A's of Anusara, because they will always help you to get more aligned, and I just broke them down into more steps for you, really. That's what the 6 steps to co-creation success are. So, we upgrade and recalibrate the voices we hear from wounded to divine perspectives by revealing how we actually feel. So, revealing how we see things from a current perspective. You've got to stop bullshitting yourself. And that through that process, and this is the attitude bit, you make conscious what blocks you. So we move out of victim mode. We engage with rather than ignore the wounded aspects of self. So if there's a part of you internally that says, no, you can't do that, you're not allowed to do that, how dare you even think about that? You can check in with whether it's the female, the male, or the inner child that's talking and have a conversation with them. Why can't I do that? Well, you can't. Why not? Well, you're not allowed to. Who's not letting you? Dad's not letting you. You're not allowed to do it. Well, am I living my life for Dad or am I living my life for me? I mean, I'm grateful for the lessons Dad taught me, but I'm now an adult. Oh, yeah. And that's where you start to see you're still living in accordance with other people's values rather than your own. Okay, alignment, acceptance and reframe the resistance. This is really recalibrating new frequencies. And what I love about alignment, and this will hopefully help you a lot, is the inner critic becomes the inner comforter. So you learn to turn that voice around. This is your springboard, okay? Instead of judging yourself, you're going to say something comforting and encouraging to yourself about what wonderful things you're doing. Just the fact that you're thinking this, just the fact that you're on this call, it's just a wonderful thing to focus on. And then your actions are inspired. They come from checking in with your attitude and alignment. So these are the practical moves and being open to receiving. So being open to receiving things being easy is your feminine being in balance. Being open to having the confidence to actually be able to deliver on what you actually want is to make a statement of intent and for it to materialize. That's your masculine, that's your confidence that you don't need to know the how, you just commit to it and then the steps will become obvious to you. So that's when you take inspired action. And this is where your inner child is able to inspire you by, radiating at that frequency, because that's what it really comes to. It's like, okay, am I feeling safe? Am I not feeling safe? What do I need to do to feel safe? Okay, I've come across another block. This is destabilizing me. Okay, let's reframe it. Let's look at it. What's it really saying? And, you have those tools to do that. So it's just being honest with yourself. Every time you come into fear or judgment, you know it's conditioning, right? So all of the stuff around the blocks, if you go into self-esteem, self-worth, all that stuff just comes down to judgment and fear, doesn't it, really? If you know you're in judgment or fear, then you know you're in your ego, and you know that this is what's preventing you so you can move forward. And that whatever you're considering is not in truth. It's not aligned with truth. Okay, so this was really a development of last week's homework. And this is so we can reframe the narrative, which, whether you do this or not, is going to be really up to you, because you need to record your new story. You need to record your I am statements. I've given you examples of my own, but in the end, it's going to be about you showing up for yourself and making it what you feel is right. So, if you go back to those 6, to the document that I sent you, and you read through it, I think it's page 7, this comes up. So I've asked you to list for each life area, what your attitude is to what you say you want and you think you want. So that's just aligning with your attitude. So what I say I want, what I think I want. You just write that down for that area of your life. Keep it short. The hidden blocks you perceive, the route closures you perceive, the declared roadworks you perceive, what you currently experience in that area of your life, what you currently expect in that area of your life, what you've been taught to believe about this in that area of your life. And then we've gone on here, so I've added some. My presumptions around this issue are, and you then go into it. My biggest fear in regard to this issue is, and you go into that. The way I talk about this area of my life is, you go into that. What really triggers me, irritates me and others regarding this life area is, key messages from mum about this, key messages from dad about this. Because you know what you're going to have there? You're going to have your sob story. All right? And once you've got your sob story, you can springboard it to write your love story, the things that you really want to manifest. And this is where it all gets exciting. So rewriting your story is about getting clear on what the story is you want to write and experience. So how do you want to tell this story to people? What do you want to tell them about your love life, about your finances, about your personal development? Like if you were sharing with a friend, what is it you want to feel? You've already written these things down, most of you, so you know. Okay? Set your intention from there in the present tense. I am now choosing to feel X, Y, and Z in this area of my life, as though it has already materialized in your physical reality. So, you know, I am now choosing to feel this as my truth. Make a decision it's going to be this way and rewrite your story in the present tense. So, once you've decided that you are feeling all of these things in your life that you want to feel, you then apply them to whatever's going on in your life now, and you turn the story around. So, you know, that doesn't mean you're going to change the way other people respond to you, but you're going to change the way you are showing up. So, I often think of this as, you know, describe it the way you would describe it to a friend in terms of how wonderful things are right now, what amazing breakthroughs you've had in this area of your life, including, if necessary, that you have chosen to separate, you've got an amicable separation with your partner or ex-partner, and you're now dating someone else who is just wonderful. You can take it that far, yeah? You can take it to getting married again if that's what matters to you. You can take it to, if you know that you're going to have an acrimonious, well, you say you know, but you don't really, that's just a belief. But if you're expecting that you're going to have an acrimonious split, then how much confidence and strength you have in yourself and how much support you've had around you and what amazing solicitors you found and lawyers and all the rest of it, and just like how like all the big guns are out, and that actually what's happened through you finding your strength is that the whole situation has changed, and there's some deep healing happening as you're finding your power. You're no longer being bullied, for example, and neither do you need to bully, but you're just in strength. You know, for those of you who are wanting to call in a relationship or more money, that you learn to value yourself more. You learnt to be honest about how you felt about the things that you were doing, and maybe to look for a different job, maybe to be honest with yourself about how much you really like to be earning and how much you currently do, what you spend. You know, you learnt that you were worthy of having more money, and therefore as a result of that, you started to gift yourself things that were important to you instead of saying you couldn't afford it all the time. And as a result, you started to find more gifts showing up in your life, because what you set forward, that's what comes back. And you started to open your eyes to more and more ways to increase your income easily without having to work more. So it's like really making it as you want it. I want you to have a go at this before I'm helping you rewrite it, okay? So that's what will happen on the call. Okay, so tips for the rewrite. How can you choose to see your circumstances differently and feel more empowered by what has happened so far and what is happening with it now? By so doing, we allow ourselves to re-energize what we want. So just ask that question. You know, how can you choose to see your circumstances differently? And you ask your soul to help you to do that. So look at your presumptions about yourself and life. What have you been taught to believe about this area of life? What you expect from it, what you currently experience, and what triggers and irritates you in this area. And use it as a springboard for reframing. Take the opposite angle. So that's why I've asked you to fill out all of that bit, you know, in terms of all your triggers, so that you can then turn it around. Like, what are the opposites of all of those things? Once you've got the opposites, write a story around it. Even if you don't believe it, write a story around it, because this is your new story. So if you expect that it's really going to be difficult to make money, state. And I've been so surprised by how easily money has been coming to me, not only through the work I love doing, but in lots of unexpected ways. I really never thought I'd be able to say my income is constantly increasing, but it is. And as you write these things down, notice how they make you feel, okay? Because I'm just hearing people going, that's never going to happen. What are you talking about? You're not living in the real world here. And this is the thing, is that if you are going to argue for your limitations, you will only ever have limitations. What if you argued as much for things being able to be different? What would happen then? You know, I only work with people that are really ready to stop bullshitting themselves. Like, it doesn't have to be the way it's been the last 20 years of your life. It's just been that way because you've carried narratives on. You can choose to stop carrying those narratives on, and believe me, I've always done things, until now, the hard way, okay? So I'm just saying that I would be the first to argue for all of my limitations in the past. I've been there. I see it in family members all around me. The point is, you'll just get more of what you've got until you decide to start arguing for how easily things could be different. And you start putting your energy there, because what you focus on grows. So how we talk to ourselves, yeah, how we talk to ourselves about something and how we present it externally matters. Thoughts become things, and words after I am materialize quickly. So the example I'll give you is that generally I'm incredibly positive, but when talking about members of my family, I become very strong, animated, loud, and direct in my energy. So I add fire to the frustration I feel with them. So this is something I've really had to learn as a blind spot, that I don't need to energize the problems that my family members energize for themselves. I can just step back and go, yeah, they're really passionate about life and they're learning to redirect their passions. That's it. Rather than, oh, my dad, oh, my sister, oh, my this, oh, and I get so into how they're different to me. But I energize the negative. That's the point. So another thing is, I play into the program unless I do something different there, as my subconscious programs thrive when I'm passionately expressing them. I am that passionately expressing them. So, you know, if you say to yourself things like, I work so hard and have no money to show for it, there's far more energy going out than coming in. You know, like, it's like, you work so hard and have no money to show for it. Okay, if that's a belief, then you want to challenge that belief, okay? Maybe the way you're working isn't optimal. So you tell yourself that there's far more energy going out than going in, and that's what you'll see. So again, you ask, how can I reframe this? How can I see how much is in my life that I don't even notice? And you start to see all the wonderful things that are in your life that you don't focus on, because you focus purely on how much money you're making, defining how worthy a person you are. So listen to how you tell your stories to people and also the challenges you face. This will give you a good angle for the rewrite. So what's happened here is my lovely, well, she's my left-hand woman in Rosy Glow, really, has written a whole load of rewrite idea statements. So these are I am statements. They are affirmations in themselves, but they're each in themselves will allow you to start to rewrite your narrative a different way, and it's using the words I am, because next week we're really going to be working with the I am presence, the super conscious. We need to clear up the mum-dad energy today, which we're going to do now, but I've given you some links here that will help you how to rewrite the story of your life. Yes, they're all helpful. I mean, I think you can just look at them if you want to, if you need to, for some inspiration. But please don't get in your heads. You've already got the information. So if you're being taken down another process, just think twice about it. You've already been processing enough with me. You don't need to do another one, okay? So homework for week 5, upgrading you in the family of the sphere of compassion. That's what we're going to do now. We're going to invite the inner critic to become the inner comforter. And then we are ready for activating the superconscious through divine architecture. So what your homework will be this week is rewriting your story so that we can energize your new narrative in week 6. And you will obviously have the opportunity to state that new narrative. So you want it written down somehow, and you want a synopsis of those 3 areas of your life. So it doesn't have to be long. It can be a paragraph for all 3, yeah, in one. But you just have your new story there that we can energize for next week. Okay, so just see if there's any questions. No, that's it. Okay, good. So I'm going to just come out of this now. Don't think we have anything else we need to add, and I'm going to take you through a co-creation. This is the full co-creation success process, which we will give you as something that you can print up and make into a bookmark. I might just try and make it a little bit easier to read, to be honest, but this is basically where you'll be able to use the 6 steps to remind you of, in any situation in your life, how to kind of work through the steps again. And I might try and get another one together for you based on attitude alignment action. So leave that with me, okay? Right, let's see now if we can escape the... Yes, good, I'm getting better at this. It's only taken me 5 weeks. So I'm going to stop sharing the presentation. Can everybody see me? Hopefully yes. Good. If you have any questions, I will answer them at the end. Go on, Sarika. What I would suggest is I'm going to take questions at the end. Okay, I'm just going to go through this process because I want to honour everybody's time, and then I'll be here for questions afterwards. Okay. Let's just see if it's relevant. No, Sarika. So the heart-brain resonance is that was a video link we sent you. But there was an audio from week 3, which was with the I am statements, which is on the back end of the website. And yeah, that's something that you should have been able to access through the back end of the website. I think it also ended up on the, did we share it as well on the Facebook page? If it's not clear for you and you haven't all had that audio, can you just let me know so I can make sure you've got it? Because I can see that some of the resources have got confused. But it was an audio that I created with I am statements for you that would be something you could listen to at night instead of, you know, like as a backup for the Gaia Source Higher Self activation. You then had an audio to watch as well. And it did have the heart-brain resonance in it. That was part of it. So if it was an audio you're listening to with my voice, that is the right one, okay? It's also the sphere of compassion. It's both. We put everything in there. So there was heart-brain resonance and it was sphere of compassion. So you've only had one audio from me so far with my voice. That is the right one, okay? So yeah, if anyone's got an issue with that, let me know. Right, come on. 6 times, rubbing your hands together. Bringing one hand to your heart, one hand to your lower belly. Just taking a moment to close your eyes. And allowing yourself to take a few deep breaths, really breathing into your heart center. And honouring the divinity that you are, this divine spark in your heart. Welcoming the opportunity to make some internal shifts that will support your outer shifts to be magnificent. So become aware of the sphere of compassion that's constantly surrounding you, as big as the room that you're in, and become aware of your core line connecting from the original source of all that is, through the sun, through your body, and down into your earth chakra. And then become aware of that light moving around the globe, under our planet, and then back up through the center of the planet, through your body, and out through the crown of your head again. So we create that torus of energy, moving through, we're flowing, we're activating our connection. So now to activate our I am presence, just taking a moment to really step into a space of gratitude and compassion for yourself and all that you're uncovering. And welcoming this upgrade in your being by stating, please repeat these words after me. I am the one self I am. I am all that is. I am that I am. I am unity consciousness. I am source consciousness. I am the source of my creations. I am the creator of my reality. I am a multidimensional being of love and light. I am sovereign. I am creator. I am free. I am aligning with Earth's ascension timeline. I am embodying my higher self from my personal paradise timeline. I am commanding an axotonal alignment with my personal paradise timeline. I am the divine feminine in balance and harmony. I am the divine masculine in balance and harmony. I am the divine child in balance and harmony. I am choosing to co-create with grace and ease. I am choosing to co-create my personal paradise. I am that I am. I am that I am. I am that I am. Very good, okay. So just allowing yourself to imagine now a sphere of compassion in front of your face. And taking a moment to place yourself as the wounded inner child in the sphere. So allow yourself to go in there, whatever ages you present yourself. Don't worry about what age you are. Just ask your inner child, your wounded inner child, to step into the sphere and just notice what you see. Notice the age of yourself. Notice whether you're a baby, a toddler, a child, a teenager. Just see your inner child. Acknowledge your inner child. And then allow now your inner feminine to reveal herself. And place your wounded inner feminine in the sphere with your wounded inner child. And just see how she shows up. Now she may show up as you, she may show up as your mum, she may show up as another family member or a friend, but just see how your wounded inner feminine is showing up. And now invite your wounded inner masculine into the sphere. And see how he shows up. And you may well be seeing your mum and dad, expressing themselves in perhaps their less than perfect form. Maybe as you remember them at different ages, it's fine. You may see something completely different, it's fine. I'm just giving you permission because we really do want to release the wounds of the father and the mother. So if your inner masculine and your inner feminine has come up as something different to your mum and dad, then by all means can you please just place your mum and your dad and their bloodlines into the sphere. Great. And allow yourself now to start to release from your physical being any and all wounds relating to your inner masculine, your wounded inner masculine, wounded inner feminine, and wounded inner child. I'm going to ask you to repeat some commands. So please repeat after me. I am now commanding a full and irreversible release of trauma I hold inside of me from the wounds of my inner feminine, the wounds of my inner masculine, and the wounds of my inner child. And I am commanding this release from my cellular, molecular, atomic, and subatomic memory, from the waves and particles of my quantum field and photon stream, from my physical body, pranic body, emotional and mental bodies, from my astral body, divine blueprint templates, celestial and causal bodies, in all dimensions of my being and all directions of time. And I command this process continues until completion. Great work. So just allow yourself now to breathe into the sphere, any and all resistance, any and all trauma, any and all stories relating to your wounded masculine, feminine and inner child needs not being met. Just breathe it all in. See the sphere spin really fast. It's kind of sucking it out of you really, really quickly. It's pulling it out of you until you feel clear. And again, because there's several of us doing this, it's fast. So you just allow the sphere in front of you to spin faster and faster and faster. Feel it suctioning out of you, and it's suctioning out of the earth as well. It's like it's just pulling out. The earth stuff isn't coming through you, it's just going into the sphere in front of you, from in front of you through the crystalline grid, but you're pulling it through. Good, that's it. Just let it all be released. Beautiful, well done. So keep allowing it to be released, but we're going to bring in the ray of infinite love, the flame of infinite love. So this will help you to cleanse yourself and all layers of your being and push through what no longer serves you so it can be loved up. So just say to yourself, I am the divine flame of infinite love. I am the divine flame of infinite love. I am the divine flame of infinite love. Well done. Oh, it's beautiful. So feel this clear light moving through your body, washing through you, moving around the crystalline grid, back up through your heart and out into the sphere in front of you. Just see it moving in and loving up all of that stuff. As it loves up all of that stuff, it's like the sphere in front of you is just getting cleared. Getting clearer and clearer and clearer. I was seeing a lot of fog, now I'm just seeing clarity. And now we're going to bring in the divine flame of grace, divine grace. So, if you repeat 3 times, I am the divine flame of grace. I should say it differently. So I am the soft pink flame of divine grace. I am the soft pink flame of divine grace. I am the soft pink flame of divine grace. Again, allow this soft pink flame to move through you, around the planet, back up through your heart and into the sphere. And see that light filling up the sphere. So it's like, I don't know, you know when you see pink and white together, like strawberries and cream. It's translucent and shimmering and lovely. And it's comforting. And so as all of those energies are being pulled out of you, the inner critic is dissolving. And the inner family is being upgraded. So that you can start to experience your inner masculine and inner feminine and inner child as their divine version of self, as their divine selves. And each of them will speak in their own way the words of the inner comforter, who has moved out of being the inner judge. So let go of the judge, jury and execution. Just let go of the inner critic. All of that stuff being loved up as we speak. Feel the freedom in your heart. And as all of that light dissolves what was there, see now what presents itself. See now how your inner child, inner feminine and inner masculine show up. And you know, they can look like you, different versions of you showing up. Or they may show up as your parents in a different form. They may show up as something completely different, not a person, but as some kind of creature or thing. Just trust what comes to you. And within the center of this image is now something that represents the inner comforter, which may be like a jewel that glistens, or a crystal that emanates a frequency. It's a signal that vibrates, that holds each of these three into their divine counterpart selves. See what shows up for you in that image. So I'm seeing a huge piece of rose quartz within my family, and like all of their communication comes through that rose quartz to me. So just be open to whatever comes to you. You can use that if you like. So just see how you can switch to seeing the positive qualities of you or your family members. We all have some. And feel into what it feels like. And as you feel the shift in energy and frequency, I'm going to ask you to expand the sphere. So imagine a golden bridge into that sphere. Expand it and step into it. Just absorb your inner comforter, your inner child, inner divine feminine and inner divine masculine into your heart, into your third eye, into your womb space, into your solar plexus, all the way down through your pelvic floor, into your earth chakra, and all the way up through your throat, third eye, crown, up to your soul chakra and the stellar gateway that connects to the sun. To see this whole connection of the subtle body being recalibrated with this new truth. And I'm going to ask you to repeat after me some words, so please repeat. I command this process continues until completion. Anchor, anchor, anchor. Recalibrate, align. Balance and harmonize. So graceful and gentle. Integration, expression, and manifestation in all dimensions of my being and all directions of time. And so it is, so it shall be. And very gently bring yourself back. Feel your connection to the earth. Feel your connection to all that is above. And breathe yourself back. I know some of you have had to go, but I've got 6 of you on the call, which is great. So as you bring yourself back, just deepen your breath, bring yourself back. If anyone wants to comment on anything, you can. Any questions you have, let me know. As you're coming back, I just want to remind you that your homework this week, if you like, for co-creation success, is to rewrite your narrative based on what you've written so far in each of the areas of your life you want to improve, and have a go at that audio. You're going to have an opportunity to do the audio again, but obviously I'm aiming to get you to complete as much as you can before the course completes, because I know what it's like when you finish the course. Obviously, you know, you can have a go at it in terms of getting to your breakthrough call. What you will need to do is book a breakthrough call with me. So I will post now my Time Trade calendar link on Facebook and the Facebook page, and I will get the new audio I did a few days ago uploaded onto the back end, so you've got it. So hopefully that will come out by email as well. You'll get the replay tomorrow. And yes, if you have any problems at all, if you haven't got something you need or you can't access it, then the easiest thing for you to do is to WhatsApp me or Facebook Messenger me, okay? That way I can make sure that if someone else needs to look at it, they will. Okay, so any questions, any feedback? How are you feeling after that co-creation? Anyone want to say anything? You're still coming back? Okay. Oh, one. Daughter was screaming next door. Yeah. So she really represents your inner child in a big way, and you know that, so it's great. Excellent that you had a vision of how you want your future to look. I'm so pleased. That's great. Yeah, it will bring up a lot of your stuff. I hear that. So that's why, just remember, you've just done a co-creation. Relax, breathe. You've just shifted the energy around it. You are allowed to shift things, Annie. I want you to know that. Just make that commitment. It doesn't matter that she's screaming and shouting. You know, it's okay. You are meeting your own needs so that you can meet hers, and that's what you have to remember. It's not a choice between either or. No one has to suffer here. She's got her dad. He loves her. And you are allowed to actually have this breakthrough for yourself so you can be there for her. So I hope you can take that with you. If you are feeling out of sorts, then do the Gaia Source Higher Self hookup as soon as you can. Yeah, of course replay it tomorrow. Yeah, definitely. I mean, if you were distracted, you definitely need to do it again. That goes for anybody. But yeah, just make sure that you remember that life isn't shitting on you and trying to stop you. It's just showing you your inner resistance, okay? And it's coming up in the field because it's vibrating around you. You know, maybe your daughter and your partner don't want you to change because they're scared of what will happen. That doesn't matter. They don't know yet that the new version of you is going to be even better than the one that they currently know. And that's what you have to trust, okay? So, I think I'm going to leave it there unless I have any other questions. Thank you, Annie. And I will put the Time Trade link up. Please do take advantage of booking the breakthrough call with me. I mean, this is prime time, okay? More and more I'm moving away from working with groups, and I'm working more and more with individuals who are basically decision makers, corporate decision makers, etc. So take advantage of this opportunity, okay? All right, so loads of love. Thank you for sharing this journey with me. I look forward to your feedback. Synopsis of homework will be shared tomorrow. Just checking if there's anything else. You're very welcome, Vicky. I hope you're finding that useful. It's all codes. We're awakening codes, okay? It's powerful stuff. I just get it from source. I share it with you. I try and make it make as much sense as possible. But it's often in the delivery that it makes more sense. So trust. I just show up and trust. All you have to do is show up and trust. You're doing it. I love you. I love you so much for all of you for being on this and doing it. It's hard. I know it's hard. But it's fun as well because we're here together. All right? So remember also, if you haven't, you're welcome, Sarika. If you haven't yet joined the YouTube channel, the Rosie Glow YouTube channel, I put loads on there. And also Rosie Glow Facebook page and Instagram, different things going out in different places. But if you really want to anchor into this mindset, you want to be feeding it to yourself all the time. That's what I do. Okay. Love you. Deepest gratitude. Take care. And looking forward to seeing you next week. Bye, Steph. I can see the top of your head.